Welcome to the April 2020 edition of Outlook Video, your nationally recognized award-winning program for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender communities. I'm Johnny Zick.
And I'm Shay Franco-Clausen. In this month's show, Outlook Video welcomes back Mike Ryan, Artistic Director of Santa Cruz Shakespeare.
Oh yes. His last visit and interview with Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg contributed to an award-winning segment for Outlook Video and Create TV.
Roberta will interview him again to bring us up to speed on this year's Santa Cruz Shakespeare productions and also on some productions of other theatrical work by the Santa Cruz Company.
Their performances are great, and they perform more than Shakespeare. This season's theme is Sea Change.
Lance Moore is the founder and coordinator for the South Bay Trans Day of Visibility for 10 years. SBTDOV is a program of the Billy DeFrank LGBTQ+ Community Center, and Lance is now on the board of directors for Billy DeFrank. Gabrielle Antalovich will sit down with Lance and chat about Trans Visibility Day.
Coronavirus prevention is a big concern at the Billy DeFrank Center. Gabrielle will talk with Jessica Barraza, a nurse intern who is working with Billy DeFrank volunteers to keep everyone at the center safe. Is that a flea in your ear?
Let's talk about Mike Ryan from Santa Cruz Shakespeare Festival about that flea.
Outlook Video is proud and honored to welcome back Mike Ryan, Artistic Director of Santa Cruz Shakespeare. So good to have you back, Mike, and share the upcoming 2020 season with us. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
And we'll talk about the flea in that little flea in a little while.
Okay. Right. Fair enough.
In the meantime, let's talk about Shakespeare and the upcoming season. Tell us about it.
Sure. Every year we do 3 plays in outdoor repertory in Santa Cruz, overlooking Monterey Bay, in a beautiful outdoor theater. And 2 of those plays are Shakespeare plays. This year we'll be doing Twelfth Night and The Tempest.
Ah, yes.
And then we also produce one non-Shakespeare play, which this year relates to that flea you were talking about, which is Feydeau's A Flea in Her Ear, adapted by David Ives.
Okay, very good. Now, is that traditional that you do Shakespeare, that you mix Shakespeare with something non-Shakespeare?
Yeah, it's something we've done for a long time. We try to do it for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that it is a sort of gateway drug to Shakespeare. One of the jobs we have is to get people in the theater, and a lot of people are intimidated by Shakespeare.
I understand.
So they can come and watch a non-Shakespeare play and know that the amazing artists that they're seeing will also be performing in the Shakespeare plays, and hopefully that whets their appetite for a little bit more.
That's good. Well, speaking of being intimidated by Shakespeare, and it can be sometimes be, the language can often be, but I found this quote by D.H. Lawrence saying, "When I read Shakespeare, I am struck with wonder that such trivial people should rise in thunder in such loving language."
That's great.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Isn't that beautifully said? And it's true. Once you do go and see the shows and listen to the Shakespeare, and you can understand, you can really get some of the prose and the nuances. It's really well done.
If we're doing our job correctly, then the intentions are there, and you understand what the actors are saying, even if you're not tracking every single word. The story is so clear. The great thing about Shakespeare, one thing I love about that quote is these are stories that play out on an epic scale, but they are really very personal stories at their core. They're deeply individual. They're about the trials we face as human beings in this great wide world that we live in, and all the problems that we have to tackle.
Yeah, and speaking of which, this season is something that you call a sea change. What do you mean by that?
Well, we took the title for this season, which we're calling Sea Change, from the 2 Shakespeare plays that we chose for the season, because they both begin with a shipwreck.
Okay.
And The Tempest, there's a shipwreck that brings a bunch of enemies of the protagonist to the island so that he can exact his revenge on them.
Ooh.
And in the comedy, a woman shipwrecks on an island and disguises herself as her brother in order to escape harassment. And there's a love triangle that ensues where the 2 people who know her think she's a man, but she's in fact a woman.
Oh man, that gets kind of confusing.
Absolutely,
huh?
yeah.
Okay, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
And Shakespeare is not unknown for that as well. That often in Shakespeare, in fact, even in Shakespeare's time, the women role were played by men. Is that true?
That's correct.
Yes.
So the female female roles were typically played by boys, not always boys, but mostly by boys. And there is, because of that, an acknowledgement in Shakespeare's plays about the construction of gender. There is sort of a wink to the audience that says, all I have to do is put on this hat or put on this dress, and my gender is a different thing. Everyone will see me as who I want to be seen as.
Okay.
And as you say, it creates some fun confusion in Twelfth Night, but it also raises some interesting questions where the Duke, a man, is falling in love with someone he thinks is another man. And then there's a woman who falls in love with him thinking he's a man, and in fact she is a she. So there's some very interesting gender dynamics in that play.
That does make some interesting gender dynamics. You're quite right about that. That's good. And the actors whom you have chosen seem to do this quite well. It's very fluid.
Well, we're very lucky to be a festival that's deemed an attractive place to work for actors from all over the country. So we're very successful at bringing in actors from New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and Seattle and all over the place.
And speaking of which, you bring them to this lovely place. Now, this is a relatively new venue, the Grove.
The Grove,
called.
yeah,
Yes.
the Audrey Stanley Grove.
Please tell our audience about the Grove. It's really lovely.
Sure. For 32 years, the Shakespeare Festival was located on the campus at UCSC. Right. But we performed in a place called the Glen there. And then in 2015, we found out we were no longer going to be able to use that space. And we went to the Parks Department in Santa Cruz and asked them if they would help us because we had nowhere to perform. And they helped us identify and find a spot. They let us develop the land and build an outdoor theater on it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful spot on a bluff overlooking the bay. And
it is lovely.
Big tall trees, lots of shade, and it's a great place to sit outside, enjoy a picnic, drink some wine, and watch some Shakespeare.
There's picnic tables there.
Absolutely.
So my spouse and I have enjoyed some theater there and taken a picnic along with our neighbors and friends, and all gather and have a really fun time even before the show begins.
I think that's one of the things I like most about it is it feels like a real community event. It's a place where people go to see each other and to hang out with one another. They're also enjoying a great story, but it's a lot about spending time with family and neighbors and friends and sharing something together.
Yes. And for yourself, how long have you been the artistic director?
This will be my 7th season as artistic director, so it's been a while now.
That's fantastic, and you're doing a magnificent job.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
Now that you can tell by the audience reaction and their interaction, obviously some of the interaction, because sometimes it looks and it feels with a live theater, and it feels, especially in that Grove, it feels like you're really interacting with the audience and with the actors.
We try. I mean, in Shakespeare's day, there was no acknowledgement of a fourth wall, right? The audience was very much present in the room with the actors, and so we try and embrace that same philosophy with our own audiences.
Okay, well, what now, do I have a flea in my ear?
I don't know, do you?
Tell us about that flea.
Well, A Flea in Her Ear is a very funny story. It's by a guy named Feydeau, who was widely considered to be the master French farceur at the turn of the 20th century. And this is widely considered to be his masterpiece. It's just very briefly a story about a man who has a moment of mechanical failure with his wife and then stops sleeping with her out of embarrassment, and she becomes convinced that he's having an affair. So she asks her friend to write a love letter inviting him to a hotel room in order to try and trap him. And then her friend's husband finds the letter and thinks his wife's having an affair. And pretty soon everybody ends up at this hotel trying to figure out who's having an affair with who. Yeah.
That's typical. That's kind of also somewhat typical Shakespeare too, with things that just weave in and out in the story.
Absolutely.
That's fabulous. Well, we look forward to this. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh,
again,
you're very
Mike,
welcome.
for joining us. And for our viewers, please do not hesitate to go to the website, which you'll see on your screen in just a few minutes, and find out more about this lovely place. And as I was about to say, forsooth, in this grove shall be a wonderful place for you and me.
Very nice.
What do you think? Huh?
I like it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us.
Thanks, Roberta. I appreciate it.
And happy 2020 season.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Sean Marr, and you're watching Outlook Video.
Welcome to Outlook Video. We have a special guest here, Lance Moore, who is the founder and was the coordinator for 10 years for the South Bay Trans Day of Visibility, which this year has been canceled because of the coronavirus. However, we are going to have Lance at the Billy DeFrank Center to do a fireside chat. So this is a taste of the fireside chat. So tell me, what drove you to want to start South Bay Trans Day of Visibility?
There were kind of two prongs to it. One is the sort of personal and transgender thing. Being trans can be really isolating. And back then, the only time you ever saw trans people in the media was around Trans Day of Remembrance, which is an important event, and I always participated in that. But I really wanted there to be something for trans people to go to that was celebratory, and Pride wasn't so inclusive then of trans people. And the other part was also for the bigger public, they also only saw stuff around murder or crazy people in movies as trans.
Right.
And like with gay folks, when everyone came out, some of the fear decreased. And so I wanted that for trans people as well, a chance to be visible to the greater public, so we weren't so stigmatized and, considered crazy and fearful.
So over the 10 years, do you feel that some of that has happened?
Oh, for sure. The first few years we were very small and people didn't really want to talk about it. But then, Ken Yeager got wind of us, among other things. We started having flag raisings. First they were at the county, and then the city got involved. And to me, that was particularly powerful because that meant everybody going through downtown San Jose saw the trans flag and had the reason to ask a question. So I definitely feel like we have made a difference in, South Bay.
That's great. So in the early days, you said you were small. So what was the reaction, say, in the LGBT community?
There was a lot of struggles. There were a lot of gay folks who didn't understand why we were all part of the same community and who were othering us even within our own little shared universe. But that said, during the event itself, there were trans people who came out to that event and have been every year who'd never been out before.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it did succeed in reaching folks and making a safer space and just like breaking that isolation, which trans people so often feel. I'm the only person who's ever gone through this. I bought all these questions and there's nowhere to get answers. Early on, there were maybe 2 or 3 people there, health resources. And last year, we had more people than we had table space for. So there's been, definitely part of the general zeitgeist of increased awareness.
Yeah, you look excited when you talk about that. Did that mean you felt that there was more for you as well?
A lot of the change came too late to be useful to me personally. Except for that, it did increase my sense of actual community. And I think other groups, trans-oriented stuff, started happening, like camping and things like that. And that came about as visibility increased. But it was really important to me to make it better for next generations.
Right.
So that's very satisfying.
What led up to you starting Trans Day of Visibility? I know it didn't just poof happen in your head.
Yeah, well, I had been trans and active in trans issues long before that. I got interviewed by the Mercury News in 2000 or something because I couldn't get health care. There was no, I had to pay for my top surgery out of pocket. I had to talk to my HR who had no idea what I was talking about. And that was the typical experience back then.
Yeah.
And I started the trans men support group at the DeFrank Center because there wasn't one. There was an open group, but the topics are pretty different. And I know I had really wanted people to talk to. I had one friend who was trans, and I am still so grateful for him. But I wanted to expand that, and like for a long time, I kept track of resources. I would share who I knew that was a therapist, and someone else would share they knew an endocrinologist, and I would track this on paper and later on the computer. It's just a way to inform each other.
Yeah.
So, and so that just kept building, and I saw just more and more need in trying to connect with the women's groups, and so when the concept of the visibility came along, I'm like, that's the thing I'm looking for.
That's
and so
right.
got some of my leather friends together, and I've been doing events with for another decade, and we made it happen.
That's right. Are you happy with all of that?
Yeah, I'm grateful for good friends and for the many volunteers who have come along since then, for the board at the DeFrank Center, which has gotten much more involved and supportive over the years. I'm grateful for the fact that there are more resources, that there's a health center now in Santa Clara County. Those things affect real lives, and I get to have more friends.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. We're looking forward to the fireside chat with you and have that available on the Billy DeFrank website, so anyone can watch it thereafter. Thank you.
That'll be fun. Thank you.
We love to get mail from you. Email us at comments@outlookvideo.org.
To contact us by phone, call 408-293-3040, extension 205.
Visit our website at outlookvideo.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/outlookvideo.
And connect with us at facebook.com/outlookvideo.
We are really lucky to have Jessica here because she is a nurse intern at the Billy DeFrank LGBTQ+ Community Center. And in the midst of the coronavirus, she has been helping us show all the volunteers how to wash their hands and clean their workstations. So how has that been?
It's actually been a pretty good experience. Everyone's very receptive,
Yes.
asking lots of questions. I've been going through the proper hand washing, which people didn't know, that you actually have to wash your hands for 20 seconds.
20 seconds, right. And this is one of the motions that people didn't know.
So when you do this, so we're actually taught this a lot of medical professionals are taught this. So we harbor a lot of germs under our nails. So one of the things that they teach us is not only do we do this and this, but we also do this. And the reason why you do the circular motion with your nails is it gets underneath the nails and it gets all the germs underneath.
And also the palm has a hollow that you often don't get.
So when you wash your hands like this, you still have that gap.
Yeah.
So you're not getting that as well. So along with getting underneath your nails, you're also getting here too. Right the palm of your hand.
And I have to admit that one of my volunteers, who's a know-it-all, actually said, oh, she actually taught me something I didn't know, and it was this motion of the hand, the hand washing and nail cleaning. So I was really happy about that. So, we just got the directive from our governor that even 250 people crowds is a lot, and that in small groups you have to be 6 feet apart, especially vulnerable groups. And so we've been really lucky at the Billy DeFrank Center that we have a lot of small groups and have only had to cancel a couple of large ones. So what have been your recommendations in keeping the buildings safe?
What you want to do is actually all your workstations, make sure that they're clean. So anything like door handles, the railings, your workstations, the countertops, the keyboards, the mouse, the phone that you use, cleaning in between each shift.
And your own cell phone.
Yes, cell phone too. You can use alcohol swabs to clean your phone. Any disinfectant wipes, of course, Clorox ones are the best. I know we've had a shortage of those, but if you have them, use them. Alcohol wipes are good too. even if you could do part bleach and part water, that's even good enough as well. But make sure you use gloves when you use these products as well.
Yeah, and we've been getting the elevator buttons, and
yes,
it's amazing all the things we touch in a building.
Yeah.
It blows me away. Yeah. Whew. So you've been prolific. I know yesterday we actually shut down our cyber center. We have a free cyber center at the Billy DeFrank Center, and we've shut it down for the next month, and you cleaned it up really well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And how important is it to keep your computer clean?
Very important, because a lot of people use it. So you have the cyber center. So it's not just one person using it, it's multiple people using it. And you don't know if people are washing their hands, coughing or sneezing, and then touching the keyboard or the mouse.
Right.
So it's very important to wipe down in between people, because germs harbor on the keyboard and the mouse that people touch with their hands, and people have a habit of touching their face, and that's how we get infections, is our eyes, our nose, and our mouth. And that goes straight to our respiratory system.
And you've been teaching us not to touch our face. That is so hard.
If you absolutely have to touch your face, use your sleeve if it's clean, or get a clean tissue, but it's best to just not use your hands, especially if you haven't washed them.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's like, it's hard. It's hard to break a habit. I didn't realize how many times I touch my face, you know? Ugh. So we've heard that the New York and LA LGBTQ community centers have shut down. Many events in the community, LGBTQ events, have shut down. Even the Dinah Shore event has been canceled. But we're really heartened we can stay open, because we have small groups and we have a lot of space for all of those small groups. So we're really grateful, because it's such an important place to be. And even though you're a nurse intern, do you feel that this is a space for you as well?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like I could teach the community, how they can wash their hands, as I mentioned, prevent the spread of germs. And
so are you willing to stay forever?
Sure.
Interns are short term.
Sure.
Yeah. Because what's interesting is, even though now people are amenable to listen to you, maybe they'll stay amenable if you stay.
Yeah. And if you teach people and they see other people doing it, then they'll say, oh, okay, maybe I should start cleaning my hands, washing them, cleaning my workstation where I just used right now, and just being more conscious about germs and being cleaner and hygienic.
Yeah.
And can prevent the spread of germs.
Our germaphobes are so happy. They feel like the world has finally come up to their standard. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for helping us at the Billy DeFrank LGBTQ+ Community Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this month's edition of Outlook Video. You can watch extended versions of our segments and archive past programs on Outlook Video's YouTube channel at youtube.com/Outlook Video. Be sure to click on the subscribe button. Also, click on the bell for notifications of our latest videos.
Also, friend us on Facebook at facebook.com/Outlook Video. Outlook Video is made possible by generous donations from viewers like you and talented volunteers behind the camera, whose names you'll see as we close. If you live in the Bay Area and would like to volunteer, contact us through our Facebook page. We close the show with comedy from You Betta Work, Comedy Fiesta. From all of us here at Outlook Video, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month.
Bye for now.
But then I moved down to Los Angeles and found out that everyone in Los Angeles is like, oh yeah, well, we're both DJs. We're transgender, mixed race, pansexual twins, models. Okay. Yes, we're models, and of course we run a nonprofit. Of course we do. Okay, it's a sustainable modeling agency for orphans. Because all orphans are beautiful, of course, but some of them are models. Oh, you guys went to Burning Man this year? That's so cool. We were born there. Yeah, we were born at Burning Man. Like, no one's from LA. Our hometown is Black Rock City. Yeah. Our parents met at Coachella. We were conceived in a yurt in Big Sur. That's why our names are Sur and Yurt. Our dad is an ayahuasca shaman from Peru, and our mom is the wind. Well, she used to be the wind. Now she's an executive at HBO. No big deal. Yeah, and we just had our own drugs. This one's called Squirrel because it will literally make you go nuts. Oh, this one's a good one. This one's called the Bay Area because you can't afford it. Get out of here.
Oh, I have already been in the mindset that, first of all, Latinos get blamed for just about everything, including mundane shit like the weather. It's true. If it's too cold, what do we hear? El Nino. It's too hot. It's La Nina. I mean, what hurricanes did we just have? Hurricane Maria, Hurricane Irma. I'm expecting to hear a weathercast that sounds something like, and the East Coast is bracing for Hurricane La Madre. I mean, really. And now we have the coronavirus? Really? That shit is made in China. I mean, what's going to be next? So we're going to have the Tecate bacteria? The agave syndrome? I mean, shit isn't right. That's all I'm saying. Yes. Thank you very much, my ethnically oriented people. That's what I want to hear. White people, you can do the same thing too. You can be ethnic adjacent. It's okay. You can be.
Yeah, shout out to the singles. You know, I know how difficult it is to be single, and that's why I gave y'all a shout out. You know, I was in a 3.5-year relationship. It ended. I lasted about 2 or 3 days being single, and then I couldn't take it anymore, okay? So now I'm just dating myself, okay? And tonight's date night in San Mateo. Yes, it is. You all should know, though, that I'm at the point in the relationship with myself where the sex is starting to get just a little bit stagnant, you know? The same old positions ain't hitting the same spots that they used to. You know, so I've been spicing up my sex life. And by that, I just mean I've added a whole bunch of foreplay to my masturbation sessions. You know? That's right, I get butt-ass naked. I light a candle. And I look at myself in the mirror like, hey, sexy. I just want to let you know, baby, that can't nobody satisfy you like I can. For last week's date night, I took myself out to a really expensive restaurant. I ordered the filet mignon and a $200 bottle of wine. I was sure to sit facing a mirror so I could make intimate and meaningful eye contact. I was caressing my hamstring underneath the table just to make sure I got some when I got home. You know? But when I put the key in my apartment door and unlocked it, got naked and went to the bedroom, I did not masturbate. No, I didn't. Because I had to remind myself that just because a tall, successful, handsome, attractive black man takes you out on a date, does not entitle him to your body, okay? No, it does not. You know, I have a really strong preference for other openly gay black men.